digital download. I'm very excited that I'm the pop-up editor of this week's one.
Have you done that before?
Well, I have done obviously lives before, but I've not done a digital download before, and you can tell that it's a little bit different to the one that Tim might do, because when Tim does it, loads of people show up. Not many people show up, but I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that personally. But it's for those of you that are new to this. This is a roundup of what we've seen during the week. If we've seen some good posts, if we've learned some interesting stuff. If anything particularly has piqued our interest and things, sort of rabbit holes that we've gone down, perhaps. So before we do any more, shall we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'd like to introduce myself before. I'm Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. I'm Adam's business partner. And something somewhere to do with social selling.
Something somewhere.
Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Doyle from Crux, and we are partnered with these lovely people here. And yeah, that's about it. Just part of this gang.
And I'm going around in a circle here. Rob.
Good morning, all. I'm Rob Durant, founder of Flywheel Results, a partner of DLA Ignite. I specialize in sales training, sales staffing, and sales enablement.
Fantastic. And last, saving the best till last, Brentney.
It is also morning where I am, so good morning, good afternoon. I am Brittany Hutchinson. I lead the digital.
You forgot for a minute. There, didn't you?
I almost said I am Little Bird. I am Brittany Hutchinson at Little Bird, leading the digital transformation and also partnering with DLA.
Cool. Fantastic.
We are an optician's dream, this lot, aren't we?
Well, the top row is more like a kind of wig maker's dream, isn't it? look at us. It's in fact, it's really funny because I posted something earlier this week about the importance of being focused on social in terms of how you promote and sell things and stimulate conversations. And I had, I wouldn't go as far as to say it was trolling, but somebody took exception to the post, and this guy's like a heavy hitting, big sales guru-y type guy.
All right.
Allegedly. And he said that it's rubbish. It's a complete waste of time. I should know. I earn a 7-figure salary for doing sales for organizations and yada, yada, and all of this kind of thing. And it's interesting because he's got quite a large following, like 25,000 people follow him. And as one would expect with the kind of hard-nosed sales mentality.
I guess he's not watching.
I would assume probably not, although you're very welcome to, you know who you are, you're very welcome to join in the conversation should you choose to. Anyway, he's got 25,000 followers, which is a very impressive following. But I did flag in the post that he posts regularly, or I did flag it against his comment that he does post regularly, but it's as if the 25,000 people are all deliberately looking in the other direction because he never gets any interaction on any of his posts. So he then wrote a blog, and unfortunately, Tim and Eric, you're guilty by association. Yeah, he wrote a blog basically saying you shouldn't listen to these social sellers. They're all middle-aged bald men. Well, there was more to the blog than that, in fairness to him. But that was one of the kind of headline comments, and it was just hilarious. Absolutely,
I was going to say, if that was the title of it, that's very niche.
That was or niche, yeah. That was the body copy. So quite interesting, actually, that would have happened this week. But what have we learned this week, everybody? This is Friday. This is a sum up of what's gone on during the week. Has anyone seen anything interesting or exciting or
this? May I? This I set myself a little challenge at the start of the year that I was going to say yes to everything for 6 months. Big mistake. Big mistake. No. It's been. I saw something interesting. I'm really chuffed to see that Tess Day has put a little hello. Can we bring that little hello
on the
screen?
Yes.
Because, well, actually, this restream is different for some reason. I don't know why it's different, because the button at the bottom that usually allows me to play my video is not there. So maybe if I, because is it all right to share it just now?
Yeah, please do.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I spotted this. I don't know if it's going to work. I might have to just talk through this. Just give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Good point, Tom.
Right. If you could bring that on for me. I spotted this and I thought it was lovely. This is Tess Day. I'm just going to whiz that back a minute. Tess Day, who, as you can see by her profile, she says hello. Yeah, Tess is the president of BNI Energy here in Aberdeen. And she's also a business owner. She runs Mind Blocks, transformation and confidence coaching, which is fantastic. Lots of people need that kind of support and service. She does dispute management and coaches teams and all of that. So actually, although Tess and I actually don't know each other, I don't think we've actually ever physically met. I spotted this post because we are connected the other day, and I thought this was lovely. I thought it was a cracker. So I'll show you what it looks like in the main. So the post was this, and it says, I will post this annually as an important reminder to myself and others that it's never too late. Could you actually reconfigure the screen here so that this is the biggest thing? You could maybe touch on that one. Not that. Not that. Keep going. Not that. Hi, Tim. We're doing well. This is gorgeous TV.
Why is that come up like? Why is that come up like that and not?
I'm not sure. But there's
you've got that. It's come up as a. Is that as a video or something?
It's a video. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a video. It's okay. I can talk through it. So it's Tess has put this up. I'm going to post this annually, and it's got some really fantastic images of Tina Fey and Oprah and all of that. The next bit goes on, and she's put a screed of lovely text in there, which is too small for me to read right now. But what I've done is shrunk it. So a reminder that she's going to post this annually to herself to remind herself that it's never too late. Tina Fey at age 23 was working at YMCA. Oprah at 23 was fired from her first reporting job. At 24, Stephen King was working as a janitor, living in a trailer. At 27, Vincent van Gogh failed as a missionary and decided to get into art school at 27 years old. J.K. Rowling at 28 was a suicidal single parent living on welfare. At 28, Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips was a fry cook, for anybody who's into the Flaming Lips. Harrison Ford at 30 was a carpenter. At 30, Indiana Jones was still a chippy. At 30, Martha Stewart was a stockbroker. At 37, Ang Lee was a stay-at-home dad working odd jobs. Julia Child released her first cookbook at age 39 and got her own cooking show at 51. Vera Wang failed to make the Olympic figure skating team, didn't get into the editor-in-chief position at Vogue, and designed her first dress at age 40. It's never too late to try. The second page is brilliant because it's people getting older. Stan Lee didn't release his first comic book until he was 40. Alan Rickman gave up his graphic design career to pursue acting at age 42. John McClane. Potter. 42. Because and when I started to think about that, I was like, yeah, of course, you don't see Alan Rickman as a young man in films. 42 years old. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his first movie role until he was 46. Morgan Freeman landed his first major movie role at 52. Catherine Bigelow only, and this goes on and on and on. The moral of the story, as Tess beautifully puts, never tell yourself you're too old to make it. Never tell yourself you missed your chance. Never tell yourself that you weren't good enough. You can do it, whatever it is that sets your soul on fire. I love that. So that's just going to go back to, I think, the main post from Tess. Please check out Tess's profile. And that is the profile you should be looking for. Tess Day in Aberdeen.
I can't
Isn't
wait.
that gorgeous?
Absolutely fantastic. And in fact, that showed up. I'm not connected to Tess, and that showed up in my news feed because loads of people in my network had dropped likes and comments on that. And I read it through and I thought that's exactly the kind of message that we need to be sending out. I don't mean we as social experts and as a business, but I mean we as people need to be putting out there. And it's really interesting, actually, because I spend a lot of effort curating my news feed. So I get lots of interesting things from interesting people. And what I'm seeing is that more and more of this kind of post is showing up. And actually, I've got some examples I'll show a little bit later. But following on from Tess's post about those people that had come to it late in life, and you often, Eric, on your Big Live Breakfast Burrito, talk about the fact that you're friends with Jim Kerr, and I'm actually friends with Harrison Ford. Actually, I'm not as much friends with Harrison Ford as my wife is. So 20.
You've got us all hooked.
Yeah. 24 years ago, my wife and I got married, and we went to Capri for our honeymoon. And we were staying in a hotel, which at the time was a very nice hotel, but now is one of the best hotels in the world. And so we could never afford to go back there. But at the time, it was a very nice hotel. It was the best hotel on Capri. And Capri is the playground of the Italian rich and famous. And the previous week, Whitney Houston had been staying in the hotel, as had the Queen of Denmark. And the week that we were there, Harrison Ford was in the hotel. So I would go down to the pool of the morning and I would swim a few lengths, and Harrison would be swimming in the other direction. Morning. And he'd say, morning. And we'd swim past each other in opposite directions. And my wife, we met another couple that were also on honeymoon, and we got kind of quite friendly with them. We used to have breakfast with them. And my wife got up and went at breakfast time to go and get some orange juice. And Harrison Ford was standing at the table trying to work out how to pour the orange juice, because it's one of those ones with like a mechanical lid on it, trying to work it out. And he said, do you know how to do this? And my wife said, yeah, let me do that for you. And then she came and sat down, and she said that one of the best lines ever: he got into the Temple of Doom, but he couldn't get into the orange juice. So that's my claim to fame. But he seemed like a really nice guy. Actually, really nice.
That's a brilliant story, and it ties very much into a little competition we've got, and a daily competition we've got going on in Casa Doyle right now, which is Sarah's a big Trekkie, and she's never been into Star Wars, but she's now watched all of the Star Wars and all the subsidiary kind of like little side, the Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all of that, and she loves it. But she said the other day, right, Indiana Jones, Superman. There's going to be points for this. Star Wars and E.T. Let's start with Superman. What's the theme?
Saving the world.
Oh yeah, well they're all
John Williams, right?
John Williams,
so they're very similar. So can anyone do?
Yeah. That's Superman.
That's Superman. Brilliant. Wow. So I've got a little hook. The da 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 is Superman, right?
Yeah.
Can anyone do Indiana Jones? Beautiful. Well done. Well done. Trust the musician. Can anyone do? What's the other one that we do? Star Wars.
Oh. Now, many years ago, I played in an orchestra and we recorded the Star Wars suite written by John Williams. So I should be able to sing this one. Yeah.
And finally, anyone got E.T.?
No.
Ouch.
Ouch.
No, go on.
I can't remember it. It's gone. This is the one I always stumble on.
But is that as a result of the fact that they're all very similar, and we've done the first one and we've done the second one, and that gradually just robs you of the ability to remember the last one?
Is it?
It is. Well done.
Sorry, Tim. I'm not apologising to you, Tim. I'm apologising to Adam for hijacking your show to do theme tunes from John Williams.
No, I absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved that. Yeah, it's. So actually, that the idea of being kind of friendly, I
love that comment from Nick. Imagine him holding a bag of sand whilst eyeing the OJ machine, ready to change them over really quickly.
Yeah, well, it was a bit like that, and I think certainly at the time he was a very popular individual and very famous. Can you share my screen, Tim? Fantastic, thank you. So I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I'm seeing that big in the middle of my screen. Actually,
yeah, it's really big. Yeah.
So what I've seen is that my newsfeed is full of value at the moment. So, and I'm seeing some of this stuff because I'm connected to these people. I'm seeing lots of this stuff because lots of the people that I'm connected to are also connected to these people. And what I'm seeing is a rise in the value that I'm getting. So some of it is a value add content, stuff which is educating me and teaching me things I didn't know, and all of those powerful things that LinkedIn can do. Some of this is a motivational thing, like Sophie's post. Sophie is a client of ours, and this idea that get stuff done, which I love. Some of this is just upbeat. So Tim and I both know Inga. She built a geodesic dome in the garden with her daughter, sort of a bit of mum and daughter bonding time, because it's Girls in Science Day today. Some of it is just really sweet, like the girl on the left that is a connection of my daughter's, who's still a student at the same uni that my daughter's at, still a student, and she's just published her first book. And she's just talking for a minute about that and the joy that she has with that, which is an uplifting thing to listen to. And then there's
published her first book.
Yeah. And you haven't.
Can we go back to that post where people do things at later in life?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Chris, who's a client of Eric's, you must have seen this, Eric.
I did.
The fact that in Denver, where clearly
Colorado,
it's snowing at the moment, he's outside with a pizza oven cooking a pizza for lunch because he won't be beaten by the weather, which again I just think is a funny and eye-catching thing. And then lastly, Chris, that Tim and I know, that's the managing director of BMW in Park Lane, which is the world's largest BMW dealer. He obviously is surrounded by really sexy cars all of the time, and he does loads of posts of these really sexy cars. And he posts these. He spent 20 years in business growing a following of people that like cars, and he posts these pictures of cars, and they subsequently sell really quickly. So despite the fact we've had lockdown, he's exceeded all of his targets, and he is responsible for selling between, depending on how busy the month is, between 10 and 30 cars a month off the back of his social posts. My point being that if you build the audience, you can monetize that. And, if we're talking about 50 or 100,000 pound per unit purchases, it's possible to do that by not pitching, just by being a decent guy that engages with people.
And it helps that he doesn't have to sell like Audis or anything. He's actually selling proper cars like BMWs.
Yes, thank you, Eric. For those of you that don't know, I have an Audi.
A fleet of Audis. Let's face it.
Well, a very small fleet.
A very small fleet. Yeah, exactly. He actually sells exciting cars.
Yes, thank you. You've made your point.
Yeah, Christian knows I've had a couple of M3s. I put a note on it that it looked really nice, and he said that he had the order book out and what names did he put down.
I used to have an M3 myself, and when people asked me what it was like to drive it, I said it was a thrilling experience, the best driving experience I've ever had in a car. But I always felt like that car's mission was to kill you, was to kill the driver. From the moment you switched the ignition on, it wanted to flip onto its roof all the time, every time. That's what it wanted to do. It wanted to drive into a wall at 100 miles an hour.
Backwards.
Fantastic. But great stuff. Stuff, and a good metaphor for life. I know she's underlining the it part, but Sophie's motto is pretty good right now.
And I think that this is a move that I'm seeing, that the quality of, and maybe we are partly helping this change. A quality in people's posting is going up. There's less of a sense of urgency of I have to sell something, I'm going to pitch my stuff to people, and more of a sense of community around that. And I love that I'm seeing more of that. And I don't know whether you guys are seeing the same thing in your networks.
Oh, I definitely am. I think I see it, whether it is the image or from the text, most of the posts in my feed all seem to kind of like be up leveling, and that there's like an evolution of emotional engagement. So it's still professional. There's still a way to type back into work, but whether it's just like drawing on the fact that you're attracted to this type of car, or inspired or motivated, or you just feel happy, like you said, this is a really feel good post. Like there's just some sort of emotional engagement in the post that I'm seeing on my feed.
It's like we were talking about it towards the end of last year, that pandemic hit, everyone sort of like retreated back to their little zones to work out what they were going to do. And we were talking about it towards mid to end last year, about 2022 potentially being the year of community, where people can back out of their little silos and holes and crept towards each other and actually started to link arms again. I certainly sense that, and I feel that everywhere I'm looking. So your observations are linked to community and help and value and all of that. And I absolutely see that this year more than any other time. And we're only, we're not even into March yet. The sense of community building on social media, the social media places that we haunt, I think it's fantastic. It's really huge. It's the theme. It's the theme right now is community.
How much of this, though, is the echo chamber effect? We post what we believe is quality stuff. We engage with what we believe is quality stuff. We connect with people that are sharing quality stuff, and we're disregarding the others. So the algorithm feeds us what we're looking for. But somebody who is not as proactive about their connections and engagement and so on, are they experiencing the same thing, I wonder?
It's a great question.
That is
a great
really
question.
I think, Rob, I think you're right. What I was going to say is that this sense of community, what that's coming from is actually people having digital skills.
Right.
What we've done in the lockdown, I still don't think that this is what's happened with COVID is a global thing. You can talk to people in India, in the US, whatever, and they've all been impacted exactly the same. And what we've done is that we've generally done the same. We've gone into lockdowns. We've then come out of those lockdowns, and what we've generally done is actually gone on to social and digital. And some people are very comfortable with that, and some people aren't. And what we're seeing is that skill set of this small bunch of people that have the skills, and then there's this large tranche of people that don't have the skills. And that's the thing that worries me, is that there is a digital divide taking place, where where some people are very comfortable. And when I mean digital divide, I put out a post this week of somebody who was highlighted on the company website, but they had no digital presence. And from this person, they would have been 3 AA levels. They would have gone and probably got they would have got a 2-1 or a first degree at school. They probably were in head boy, head girl. They were probably maybe a prefect. All of these things where they had all the answers, and all of a sudden they don't.
Are all those British things for smart?
Yeah.
British terms for smart.
That was British for smart, super clever.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because I was going to say, when you were talking about that sense of community, I was going to say that not like there's this top slice of the cake, which there is, but that it's polarizing people on the platforms. So there are the people that get it, and they bring themselves to the platform and they chat. And for some people, they chat about personal stuff, and for some people, they chat about business stuff. But they always chat from their own perspective, and it's always them. So, sometimes you might write a post, one of you guys, which is about, I've had a really good day. I took the day off and went to the seaside. Lovely. Or you might write a post that says, I had a really interesting interaction with a client and I learned this, and that absolutely kind of meets these criteria for us, which is, again, is great. But then there's a whole host of people that simply regurgitate corporate stuff that we know doesn't work. and they know themselves that it doesn't work. You know, they wouldn't ever go into a bar and walk up to somebody and say, when they're asked what do you do, they wouldn't say, well, we're a top 10 provider of innovative information technology services, specifically around cataloging and segmenting big data, because they find that they would always be drinking by themselves.
Or neither do they do what Mike Myers did in Austin Powers, and you know when he does moly. Neither do. So what is it you do yourselves? Brochure. No conversation ever. Only included a brochure being put in someone's face.
Yeah,
I think that's quite funny when you think about the metaphor of walking onto someone's stand at a show and saying, "Wow, it's pouring with rain out there. I got absolutely soaked, man. How are you? Brochure."
Yeah, but do you know that the funny thing is, isn't it, that they would never entertain doing that in a face-to-face environment. They'd never entertain doing that one-to-one, or even one to a small group of people, or even one to many. You know, when they step out onto the stage to address their AGM or sales kickoff or whatever, and yet they go onto this space and they think that's exactly the way to behave.
Yeah.
Well, it's free advertising. That's the mindset. Oh, if it's free, it must be for me. What do I put here? It's much easier for me to just reshare what marketing has done, because, you know, there's
they're the clever people.
1 billion people. Exactly. 1 billion people on this platform. If I put this out there, 1 billion people are going to see it.
Woohoo! Visibility nailed.
Yeah.
So
And then people are going to ring up and say, "Hey, can I buy your stuff?"
Yep.
I think Robert Matson's comment is worth talking about in regards to this, though, because we have 2 cohorts going right now at Little Bird, and I'm coaching individually some like Little Bird employees, and usually it starts with like, well, I just don't know what to post. And then in talking a little bit more, they're uncomfortable with the idea of thinking that what they want to post would also be what the company would want them to post. So where did his comment go? It said, some companies fear having people with personal brands. Smarter companies think that to be known as an expert company, you should be a company of experts.
That's beautiful. That's in fact, I'm going to steal that with pride. So thank you very much indeed, Robert.
Look out, Robert, for 18 blogs coming out with that over the next 2 weeks.
I'm just taking a screenshot, Robert.
When he says that, I mean, Tim's so good at this that he's actually written 4 blogs since that's been up on the screen.
And yet that first company is still the same one that's going to teach their salespeople the Challenger sale.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the experts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, but the interesting point is that lots of these methodologies that have almost become the epitome of themselves, like the Challenger sale, they're not bad ideas. They're really good ideas. But the way to take that thinking to market and introduce it to people has changed out of all recognition. And, you know, yes, you need to have a professional post. Yes, you need to do a post that establishes you as an expert. Yes, you need to be demonstrating your competency in that area. Yes, you need to be convincing people that you're the expert. Yes, you need to be pushing people outside their comfort zone when they read your post. But for all of that to happen, people have to actually like you and trust you. Otherwise, they're not going to read it. And if they do read it, they're not going to believe it. And it's like this putting the cart before the horse. I'm an expert in this. And the justification for me saying I'm an expert is because I'm telling you I'm an expert. Well, I need to prove it and win your trust, don't I?
Well, the other thing is if when you're buying something, you're not interested in it until you know about it. So if I walk up to you and I smack you on the head with a brochure, all you'll do is you'll just take the brochure and you'll put it in the bin because you don't know who they are, or you don't know the company, what the products are. So what you're doing is that you're by going to social media and putting up brochures, you don't understand how sales and marketing works. What you do is everything that we sell, B2B, enterprise, requires you to have a conversation. It's during that conversation where you find out that you probably like the person or you dislike the person, and actually find out what the product or the company does. At that point, the whole point of sales and marketing is to create desire for a product or service. And by just slapping someone with a brochure doesn't create desire.
Was it Edelman in LinkedIn's Thought Leadership Impacts Theory told us 2021, 64% of buyers say that your thought leadership content is a greater guide of competence and capacity than any of your marketing materials or product sheets. And 63% of buyers say that your thought leadership content is a better judge and a more accurate guide of whether you truly understand our problems and issues and can address them. Not your brochures.
You're absolutely right, Rob. I am a fascinating person because I have guitars behind me.
That's right.
Now, just quickly, Andrew has said there is a problem with the event page, that it's back, but I can't see that. I've gone to each event.
If you go to Eric Doyle's profile, it's there.
Yeah, and mine and yours, Tim, and all of them. So I don't know what the glitch is there, Andrew. So apologies. I'm glad the sound is good nonetheless, but we're better in Technicolor.
Stream from your event page. Adam has no video. Right. Okay.
I've just gone to my page, and it looks all right. Yeah, so Brentley, you had something really interesting. Well, the title of it sounded really interesting. So share that.
I would love to. Apparently my profile page is superior. It works. So.
But we didn't need to check it to know that.
Of course.
I'll say
Brentley's like, yes.
Okay, finally I learned something. Yes, I did learn something super interesting that I wanted to share. And it kind of plays off of what Adam, the last thing he was talking about. Have any of you heard of the Contrarian principle?
Yes.
Contrarian. You have? Okay. Do you know what it is? Or could you
I know about it. I know about it from reading about Warren Buffett back in the day, that he used to bet on stocks when they were low, and when everyone was avoiding them, he would go the opposite way. And this sort of contrarian theory saying trading I'd heard about. But are you thinking about it from another perspective?
Well, Reid Hoffman, the author of, he's got The Startup of You, Masters of Scale, and he was a co-founder of LinkedIn. I heard him apply it in terms of just like big thinking, or having a big idea, or entrepreneurship. And I just thought it was super interesting. Adam and I talked a little bit about it. But so as it applies to investing, it's bucking at market trends in order to gain profit. So he explains that if you apply that to a new idea, one, you don't want to, if you're getting a bunch of yeses, then you're not going to be different. So by thinking through the contrarian principle, you're going to hear a lot of no's, but most people think it to be no. Some experience or some insight you have, actually, you know it to be right or to be true. So that's the path or the idea that you actually want to take.
The Blue Ocean Strategy.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say?
The Blue Ocean Strategy, a book on a similar concept.
Oh,
when all the sharks are in the water bloodying it up over here, you want to go over to where the water is blue.
He also says, like,
Blue Ocean Strategy, yeah. So hold on. So it's better to not be where the sharks are all killing people.
Yeah, it's not. It's better to not be eaten by the sharks. Yes.
It's quite a short book.
Yeah.
It's a pamphlet.
It's a brochure. It's a brochure.
Yes, but he says it's very easy to be contrarian, or to think contrarian and just be wrong. So he said it's important to base it off of some sort of insight or experience. And yeah, he's an outside of the box thinker, basically, which I always love.
LinkedIn user, could you tell us who you are? There's something to do with your browser that's cancelled you, or you might be in private mode, or you might be on a phone sometimes that sends you. If you could just let us know who you are, we'd love to know your name, LinkedIn user.
Yeah,
could be Reid Hoffman.
Yeah. The person who made this comment, if you could just put your name in the comments.
Yeah. Thank you.
We just see you as LinkedIn user.
To which he responds, it actually I already have done. I am Reid Hoffman.
I am Reed Hoffman.
And it would actually be funny if it was. It wouldn't be the first time he's trolled us, would it? Let's be honest.
I think it's Gary V.
Yeah. Because Tim and I've got a good story about him as well, actually, but that's for another day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting idea, and I love that kind of the idea that you to quote Tim here, you stay in your own swim lane, you know where you're heading, and you head there, and you remain focused on where you're certain that that's going to take you, rather than being diverted by naysayers. And
however, that's not without risk.
Absolutely, but isn't everything in life? If you
go ahead.
But it needs to be based on some solid proof, rather than because there's lots of people out there that are staying in that swim lane, and it's a kind of dead end because they maybe haven't pulled through the due diligence enough.
Absolutely right. And I think that staying in your swim lane of saying, I'm going to continue to email people, or I'm going to continue to cold call people, or I'm going to continue to not deliver good quality service to my customers, or I'm going to continue, those are fundamental shortcomings. But outside of the realms of actually just making bad decisions, as Biz Stone said, 10 years of hard work and you'll look like an overnight success. And, I think that for a long time, people look at you and they kind of curl their lip, don't they? And think, this person's wasting their time. And then ultimately it all comes to fruition at some point down the road when you're in the right place at the right time. So I love that idea. So who's got a post they would like to share?
I'm happy to share one.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want to? Are you going to do that yourself, Rob?
I'll try.
Or do you want me to do it? Oh, you've done it.
All right.
So,
Ooh.
like last week, you got a round of applause.
Yeah. Last week I had an exit song too. This week I wanted to share a post from John Selig. As his tagline puts it, John's half sales guy, half stand-up comic, all parental disappointment. I thought that was amusing.
Yeah, brilliant.
He's a former sales rep for over 12 years, including at startups and at Oracle. John now provides a training course, Comedy Writing for Sales Teams. In it, he helps sales teams craft their own ice-breaking and conversation-starting content through the use of humor. In this post, John shares the general reaction from some super serious sales leaders he's spoken with recently. Their response to his services: our prospects don't like to laugh. Their job is serious. They're serious people. Making them laugh will make us look less credible. John then goes on to share a recent Gallup study showing that less than 40% of Americans are engaged in their careers. And he says, while they may take their job seriously, it doesn't mean they can't find humor in it. So my question is there room for humor in business?
I think that's worth another round of applause.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Absolutely. Great spot from Rob, and a brilliant post from. I love John already. He's absolutely magical. I have to say this whole concept came to me later in life. That
having a joke?
Well,
I can't believe that.
No, there was a period in my life where I kept the two. I was Mr. Suited and Booted, Mr. Thomas Pink, cufflinks and shirt and fancy tie and three-piece suit and all of that. And there was a period in my life where I got lost in that. Well, this needs to be. Every day of my life is like I'm on The Apprentice. That's what I am. That's what's the American version of The Apprentice is? Donald Trump did it for a while. But they take
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
I thought it had another name. Sorry.
No, that's Dragon's Den.
Dragon's
Den and Shark Tank.
So it is. Yeah. So and I still was. I was on the outside of that. I was the Eric that you guys all know. I had fun and games and liked a bit of hilarity and all of that. The concept of blending those two, and I spoke about it recently. Nick Rayburn's in the audience. Nick did his first LinkedIn audio this week, and we spoke about this whole the conversation was going in a place where we've got business content and we've got personal content, and personal content always gets more engagement than business content, because business content, I think we need to stop talking about that. I think we need to stop talking about that. I think what happens if you take your business content and your personal content and you bring them really close together and you allow the Venn diagram to overlap, what's left in the middle is life content. Life content. Now, if I'm going to be part of your digital network and I'm going to have fun being in that network, I need to know what you're a specialist at. I need to know what you're an expert at. I need to know that you've got the same hopes, fears, and desires as me. And I need to see that you're a good person that I would want to be around.
Mm.
If you just tell me how brilliant you are at project management, I'm probably going to get bored. If you just show me pictures of your breakfast every morning and you and the dog, I'm not going to realize what you do and I'm not going to understand it. It's the whole life mix of whether I qualify you in or out and you do the same to me. And that's that whole life mix. So the life content, not business or personal, everything is now the game changer.
Well, this isn't Facebook, Eric.
but I think you're a perfect example of that, Eric. So for those of you that are watching that don't know this, Eric runs a show every Thursday morning UK time called The Big Live Breakfast Burrito. We're fortunate enough to have Big Live Breakfast Burrito mugs, and it has no obvious business purpose other than a group of people that want to share interesting stuff going into a virtual room and chatting about this. So there are regular things, fact of the day, word of the week.
There's the poetry things, rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah. Will and his poetry.
Music prizes.
Yeah,
jokes.
It's a fantastic, like those Saturday morning shows we used to watch on TV when we were kids. It's an adult version of that. But it has had a business benefit to you, hasn't it? It's brought people closer to you, and those people have then chosen to want to do business with you.
Absolutely, it gives you a view into. So if I'm comfortable with the whole, this is who I am, and as long as I'm not out to offend anyone, and all we do in our show is have a nice time with business people, having an hour's worth of fun once a week. But it's we don't talk about anything that any of us do or our specialisms. We have fun games, we tell jokes, we give away prizes. Hey, fantastic, outstanding. Thank you, Tess. And we allow business people, because it's a LinkedIn live show. We do live on Twitter and on YouTube at the same time, but it's predominantly a LinkedIn show. We allow business people to come and just take the coat hanger out the back of the suit jacket for an hour, put the corporate brochures to one side, and come in and listen to a bit of fun, listen to some music, win some prizes, watch one of our colleagues taste wine every week and sample wine, and out of that, every single week we grow our networks, and out of that, people connect, and there is business connection made, which is beautiful. And no one ever said, "Do you want to buy my stuff?"
No.
I think, Brentley, didn't you say something once? Because I think quite often people get mixed up, don't they, between, what was it? What did you call it? Personal and private.
Sharing personal and sharing private.
And private. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, I think it's something that I only have come to understand recently too. I agree with Eric. Being like fresh out of college and starting my first corporate job, not only were we like taught to look exactly like everyone, like we could only wear black suits, we could only carry like certain bags, and we couldn't wear jewelry, just like all these things. They basically formed a group, an army of people who all looked the same. And a lot of us my age, I think, had that mindset where we couldn't show like emotion or weakness, or like there was no like be human. And it was great training, it was great sales training, but I think those were really influential years. So I can only speak for people my age, but I didn't know the difference between sharing personal things, as in like, hey, I enjoy this podcast and I did this, or probably like very personal for me, it was sharing last week I had a major migraine and I was just sick for days, and I wrote a long post about that, and I never would have done that before. But sharing personal things that are going on in your life is not the same thing as an overshare, which would be sharing something private, and that could look different for everyone, but it's to the degree of whatever you're comfortable with, I think.
So I think it's important. Yeah, sorry, Alan.
No, I was just going to say. So you had an interesting post actually that you found this week, didn't you, Brent?
Oh, I can share that too. I was planning on. You can go ahead. Do you have Lindsay's up? Or I can talk. I kind of already alluded to some of it, but I would love to just give her a shout out if we can. She's an amazing storyteller. Let's see. I do have it.
I've got so many tabs open.
Which one did you want to put up, Brittany?
It is it's by Lindsay Nielsen. I have hers. I can share my screen if you don't.
I've got it if you.
Okay, go ahead. So Lindsay is a newer LinkedIn friend, almost, I would say, of mine. It's a new friendship. We haven't met yet in person. We're supposed to meet next week, but she is based out of Texas and just writes these beautiful posts and stories. And she is someone who's really great at getting her message across, but like giving you a glimpse into her life. So she'll post pictures of tacos and traveling, and when she is in a new area and just enjoying the sunshine, she'll make a post about it. But there's like always so many lessons and just a lot of wisdom in her content. And she encourages you to write what is real and stop worrying about likes and views and stop worrying so much about it, but just being who you are. And that's going to be your differentiator. Morgan Smith, I won't put his video up, it's too long, but also is talking about this. So how to be different in comparison to the 800 million other people on LinkedIn. And he's like, really, it's all relative. So even if you have a few thousand connections and your content is shared to their connections, it's several thousand, but that's still a small portion of who's on here. So an easy way to differentiate yourself is just to be who you are and share things in your voice. So if you want to share a company piece, take a minute to think about it, put it in your own words, and don't worry about like, is this in line with what I consistently share? How are my people going to react?
Yeah, really good point. I think though that does bring us back to that whole concept of companies needing to embrace this idea of people being brands, though, doesn't it? Because the challenge always is that this post you did is not on brand, and often I think that people are so wrapped up in the old way of doing things and the old data around things that the fact that you've had 25,000 views of that thing that you've created in your own voice, and the fact that you've had 250 likes on it, and the fact that you've had 25 conversations with prospects off the back of that actually doesn't matter. What matters is that it wasn't absolutely what the marketing department had created, which nobody saw, but it doesn't matter, that was on brand. And actually, both as individuals and as companies, we all need to go out there and have a braver view of things, don't we?
Yeah, no, that's a great message, like a braver view. And she always says things like, make others feel good, or, go out and share the love. And she's just very specific, and there's a lot of intent behind her engagement and her comments on other people. Like you could learn so much from her in terms, not like you guys specifically, but all of us, just in terms of the way that she engages with other people. It's not just only on her profile.
I did a presentation, a webinar last night my time, for the sales enablement company Seismic, and it was about coaching and the importance of having a coach. And for me, it was really interesting because Adam and I wrote the presentation from scratch. They came to us and said, we don't want you to do one about social selling. We want you to do about coaching and the importance of that around social selling. So we sat down and we built something, and I presented it last night. And And a lot of things really resonated with me. Obviously, I'm biased because I gave the presentation. But the thing
Wait, did you just say you resonated with yourself?
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
That's illegal in some countries.
And if you hold your teeth together, you get it in your fillings. The thing is that you get what if you want to be brave. The thing is that you need a coach to do that. So I use Serena Williams as one of the people who has actually, she has 3 coaches. According to Wikipedia, she does anyway. And the thing is that quite often what happens is that we stay within, back to the Reid Hoffman thing, we stay within our box, or we stay within what we think is capability, or what we think will be allowed by the brand. But the coach actually allows you to step outside that. And I think that's one of for me, one of my learnings that I taught myself this week was about the importance of the coach to actually help people do that, because there is this small layer of people that actually can write these great things like that, your example there, but the vast majority of people can't, as you know from your coaching sessions. And it's about using the coaching skills to get actually people out and realizing there's a greater world out there. Sorry, that's
no.
And thank you to Will for his counsel on that. For Will Shorten.
Yeah, that was fantastic, wasn't it? Because it was like we had to put together something on coaching that we didn't know anything about, and then Will came along and showed us what coaching was about, and we felt then much more empowered to be able to have an opinion on it.
He said the 3 P's of social, the 3 social P's: professional, personal, and private.
Yeah.
So what happens when you put all of those into a mincing machine? What comes out at the end? So what happens if you mix that all together? I'm fascinated by the mix, the blend. So instead of the separators, what happens if you blend it all? Life content. Yeah, absolutely. It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle. Life content.
Abraham Hicks says we talk about our career as if it's a box, like a thing we hold. Like you can see it, you can touch it, you put things in it, and then what happens to the box? Like the career, just you throw it in the trash when you retire, but like it never ends, it never stops. Like we should stop talking about career, because it's all experience and it's all life.
Yeah.
So from a coaching and a sort of personal development perspective, you probably will have heard the phrase, wherever I go, there I am. This idea that we take ourselves and we think that things will be all right when I move to this place, when I get this new job, when I've achieved this target, whatever it is. And actually, when we get there, what we realize is that we're exactly the same, and the environment is the same, and the challenges are the same, and everything's the same, but we thought it would magically be better. So I would like to finish on the point that we can have a bit of a debate about, which is reshuffles. So Tim and I have had a number of conversations with a number of companies where they have decided they're going to do a social media transformation program, but they're going to do it when they've done this, because they recognize that being social will drive revenue, will drive cost savings, will drive visibility, will drive attractiveness for them as a company to go and work for, will drive engagement of their existing employees, will drive all of those things that are key business levers that you can pull. But we're not going to do it straight away because we're coming up to year end, or because we're having a reshuffle, or because 4 people have left and we need to recruit new people.
And then we need to do that 3-month ICP exercise. And then we've got that 4-month website upgrade that we need to do. And then that voice of the customer thing, it's a couple of months.
Journey mapping.
Journey mapping.
And actually, it's not even, and yeah, I do agree with you. It's like we would see this as being the most important thing because it affects all of these key, to quote your favorite term, Eric, EBITDA benefits to the business. But more importantly, it's the fact that we're putting strategic things on hold because somehow things might be better or more appropriate for us to make those changes at this point in the future. And the problem is, if you're staring at an empty pipeline and zero visibility, zero engagement, and your staff leaving, why in 3 months' time is that going to be better than it is today? Well, it isn't. You've just got 3 months more on the clock, and you're 3 months closer to Armageddon, when the bank pulls the plug on your funding, or whatever is the crucial issue that you're trying to avoid. So discuss in the closing 5 minutes.
I think you
can't
just
be
did.
strategic. I'm too busy executing.
I'm too busy executed. Yeah, absolutely. It's the wood for the trees, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
So you've just said your pipeline is in danger. You forecast X at the beginning of the year, and you can only see X minus 50 at the halfway point. So you're in dire straits. Pipeline is the biggest crucial. The movement of cash through this organization is the biggest issue we have today. Clearly, health and safety and retention of employees and all of that is crucial, but we are running out of cash. Our EBITDA is in the toilet, and we have no order intake to speak of. You want to talk about the prospects of going social, but you want to delay it for 6 or 7 months until you tinker around with some bits and pieces. So the whole issue is you're not getting in front of enough prospects, you're not making enough connections, you're not having enough conversation. So that's the issue. That's the root cause of the problem, is you're not speaking to enough people that can change your business. So the crucial activity we need to be doing is speaking to more people. How do we do that? How do we access markets? How do we get credibility in those markets? How do we convert that credibility into conversation and then change that into purchase orders? That's what we need to focus on. So why are we going to spend 3 months when you've told us that nothing's happening? The website right now doesn't work. It's not a channel for revenue. The advertising is not a channel for revenue. So why do we need to redo all this first before we get to the point where we're putting your people in front of their prospects and engaging with them directly? Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we still have to do it because that's what we need to do. That's what we need. That's in our plan. That's in our plan for this year.
Yeah, I have kind of a hot take on it. I agree with the last part of that. I think it's not, I think it's less about business and it's more about ego sometimes. Someone already said yes to it and this is what we're doing, and people are afraid to like publicly share that they've changed their mind or they've found out something else might be more of a priority. Takes like a different kind of leader to change.
Yeah. It was Seth Godin's post today, in fact, talks about we never talk about we made a mistake or we decided we made the wrong decision. It's that groupthink mentality, and this is the way we've always done it. And nobody wants to spearhead that blue ocean strategy.
I find that really shocking, though, because the history books are littered with organizations that have just simply imploded because either they have become ineffective at doing what it is they need to do, sell and deliver and all of that stuff with their products and services, or they've just become an irrelevance because they haven't been able to change. So, and these are not little companies, these are huge companies. And, sometimes it happens quite in the recent past. So MySpace would be a good example of that. The biggest website in the world, by far, the biggest website there had ever been, gone. Kodak, the biggest imaging company in the world, gone. So many of these organizations.
Ericsson.
Yeah. Preeminent in their field, the biggest player in that space. Companies that have built themselves on innovation and change.
Motorola.
Nokia.
But you've all heard the adage, and this predates me, but nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. And insert whatever the current is for IBM, but that's the mindset. Nobody ever got fired for following the herd.
There's a person in this chat right now who will remain nameless, who went to a person in their company and said, there's a lot of stuff going on about social selling and influence. A lot of stuff. And the person that he went to speak to in that organization was responsible for that kind of like revenue growth and the movement of cash. There's a lot of chatter about, have you noticed any of this? Oh, we don't do that here. We're not into tips, tricks, and gimmicks. We only do stuff that works.
Evidenced by the fact that our business isn't getting any bigger.
Yeah.
No need to make yourself known, person in the audience. Do companies become too big that they cannot innovate anymore? Ooh.
There's so much
They
good
certainly-
stuff in the audience.
They certainly become so big that innovation is swamped and slowed down.
And ironically, the only way to future growth, which these really large organizations still thrive on, is to break from what they're always doing. Because if they continue to simply do what they're always doing, at best, they'll remain accomplishing what they're accomplishing. There's no growth in that. And more likely, they'll be falling behind.
Well, Tim and I worked for a company that was very acquisitive because it recognized that its best way to grow revenue was to acquire other companies. But as you would expect from, a massive multinational company, you acquire another company and then you suffocate it with your own systems and culture and processes. And ultimately you kill the very thing that you bought because you thought it was perfect. And I think that many organizations suffer from this challenge. But I think that and we've written about this at some length, during the period of COVID, lots of organizations have still had quite healthy revenues, because for some organizations, the market has become easier as a result of not having to go and visit people and being able to execute on things that were already in pipeline. But many of these companies have bled their pipelines dry, where they could see that they had $10 million worth of potential sales that they've now been able to execute on. What they haven't had is the mechanism to put new things in the pipeline, to be 3 months or 6 months or 12 months away. And a lot of these organizations, we're going to start to see now, as we come out of COVID, we're going to start to see many, many casualties of what we thought were stable and established businesses, because they simply haven't planned ahead. They've kept sitting on their hands with that, well, COVID will be gone in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or whatever. Therefore, I don't need to do anything until it is. So it will be a very interesting period, I think, coming up, won't it?
Very much so.
So we're at time, aren't we?
We are. Thank you so much to Tess Day for coming along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Adam,
Brilliant.
for running today.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you all very much indeed for your brilliant contributions, and to the audience. We've had some great comments and
They
questions.
did turn up after all.
Fantastic
They
comments.
did. The important people turned up.
Tom, Robert,
not us.
Andrew, Tess,
And
Will, obviously, Nick,
Did we find out who LinkedIn user was?
Alistair,
Yeah,
Ian.
I think
Andrew.
I think it was Will.
I think Tom thought it was him.
Oh, right. Or it might have been Tom, yeah. Yeah, but he fixed it.
Andrew. God, there's loads of...
Yeah.
And Tim, how did you feel just being the sort of like comments pilot rather than running the entire orchestra? Was that a more relaxed experience?
I think I prefer it, actually, yeah.
You prefer this?
It'll be a different guest compare next week, won't it?
Yeah, I'm looking
Thank you,
forward
man.
to see who's going to do it, yeah.
Absolutely, Tess, without a doubt. Love that.
Great.
It was Tom.
Thank you all very much indeed, and hopefully see you all next week.
Thanks, everybody.